YouTubers, and welcome back. And today we're talking about E85, and sadly why I'm not going E85. I have a pros and cons list right here. And I think after the video you guys will understand why, because mine's really a street truck and I like to have fun with it, and this E85 with a carburetor just seemed like too much work. And today's video is sponsored by nobody. You know why? Because I don't have any. All right, so I feel like I let some of you guys down, but I think, like I said before, once you see this list, you'll understand why I'm not going. And by no means am I saying E85 is a bad fuel. We all know you can make a lot of power off of E85 for being a pump gas. And there's E90s and different blends that other people like to run besides that. But we're just gonna concentrate mainly on E85 today because it's cheap. I want to run a lot of compression, and E85 will definitely handle more compression in a motor that 93 would just ping and it'd be a turd pulling that much timing out to get it run right. So I got a pros and cons right here. Let's go over these pros and cons real quick. All right, so the first pro, it's a higher octane, 108 to be exact, I guess. You can run more compression than 93, and your tuning window is definitely larger. It has lower combustion temps, it's a cleaner burn, more efficient, and it's a cheap fuel. So that's the pros. Now let's go over here to the cons. And remember, I run a carburetor, so this is more about being a carburetor side than is EFI. So let's first go over the first one. It's high maintenance. On the N2 enrichment, which is this side, I have a standalone. Let me show you guys that. Here is my standalone. Got some race gas in there. So my nitrous side is on its own fuel pump, return system, and it is only race gas in this side. And it sits in here literally all year with no issues. And here's the regulator. And here is the solenoid. So this side of the motor is never touched by the fuel from this side of the motor. So since I only run nitrous like maybe 3, 4, at the most 5 times a year, if I was gonna have E85, I was told by a lot of the E85 gurus that I can't mix C16 with E85 because the lead and the race gas and the E85 and all that stuff. They said it wouldn't work. Nitrous Express and Induction Solutions said, yes, you can. I was getting a whole bunch of mixed messages. I was like, you know what? I guess I'm just going to run E85 on the enrichment side. Do I have to drain it every time? Because I only run it like 3 or 4 times a year. And the answer was across the board, yes. Every time you put E in there, run it. And then when you're done, drain it, then pickle it with some race gas or regular gas with something like this, just to make sure you don't get any separation or oxidation in your solenoids. I'm telling you right now, if you get anything in your nitrous side, especially on the fuel side, and you go and run it and you not get the same fuel delivery, you are going to destroy your motor quicker than you can say button push spray. It'll be gone, trust me. Another con is irregular startups. Check carburetor / fuel system for separation when you're running E85. And the reason why you have to be very careful, especially with the carburetor, because it's open to atmosphere all over the place. My tank's vented, my carburetor's vented. So if it's sat for any amount of time, I would have to run this stuff, like I said before, in there if I'm gonna let it sit longer than a week. And fuel injection, you got a little more wiggle room because it's all, it's a sealed system, so it's a lot less susceptible to air and it pulling water out of the air, because alcohol likes to take in water, gasoline doesn't. So, and that's why it separates, because once you get to it, all it takes is like 1% of too much water in that ethanol, and then the gas, and they both separate becomes acidic and it gums your carb up, and it just has all sorts of problems. So being on top of your maintenance and checking everything is way more critical with E85 than it is on just regular gas. Here's another one. Less abundant, area dependent. For me to get a good, decent E85 blend, it's about a 2-hour round trip. And you can see, I really don't have space in here for a 50-gallon jug. I could probably make space, but really, and 55 gallons, I can go through 15 gallons really quickly in this guy because it's a street truck. I enjoy to drive it. And the only areas in my place that are close, when I say close, about 20 minutes or so, about 45-minute round trip, they have tested as low as 50% ethanol at times. So I need to get some E90 and then mix that with anything lower than 80% ethanol to get a consistent blend. So now one thing about mixing the blends, like it's not like carburetors don't have a flex sensor. No, you are the flex fuel sensor when you're a carburetor guy, because everything, your tune-up, you are the ECU. So you have to stay on top of your tune-up. You have to make sure all the gases, all the fuels are very, very consistent in their consistency of E versus gasoline, because it takes a lot more ethanol to create the same amount of power as it does compared to gasoline. So if you got a 50-50 mix, your tune is basically garbage if you tune it to E85 with the 15% gas and the rest ethanol. So, and not only that, it's not just your octane rating. There's that whole factor that plays into that. And when you're spraying nitrous, I know from experience, even with gas, that something as little as 5 or 6% on your tune-up can kill a motor. So you really have to, on a carburetor, stay on top of your tune. If you don't have an EFI system that can do that automatically. I know Joe is probably gonna make a funny comment, or maybe he won't because I mentioned his name now. But I don't mind messing with carburetors. I work on computers all day long, so when I come to my vehicle, I don't have to mess with anything that has electronics and a screen. I'm okay with that. So this brings me to my very last, most important decision. I would need to bring about 2 5-gallon cans or jugs in the bed of my truck whenever I go out for a cruise, because if I get low on fuel, I just can't go get some 93 and make it home. Not when you're running a tune-up on a carburetor for ethanol. So I guess that brings me to my final decision why I am not going to go E85 on this, because I like to drive it, I like to have fun, and I don't want any more maintenance than I already have. Because look right here, I have a solid roller cam on these because I don't believe in hydraulic rollers. Yes, you can make good power hydraulic rollers. I just like having solids because I know exactly what my lash is. I can spin them higher and not worry about float if I get the right spring combination, because my motors have regularly seen by accident about 75, 7,600, RPM, and I don't believe in rev limiters either. I don't believe in a lot of things that probably could destroy my motor, but I have definitely had hydraulics rollers in the past, and when you rev them up and float, that's when you get into a bad area of your pistons touching your valves, and I've actually done that in the past LT1, so I just don't have to worry about that. I just check them with my solids. So in my next video, which is coming right after this one, I'm going to show you guys some of the maintenance that I do to this motor, this LT1. So if you're thinking about running a solid roller cam in your LT1, and depending on how close you have your springs from bind, I have mine very, very close, so that way I have less chance of float. And every now and then I do what I do right now, which is, you can see they are all loose, so my springs don't have any pressure on them, because when you run them as close to bind as I do, you can wear them out really fast. So I'll show you guys how to set these and what I do for the maintenance when it sits for a while. And with that said, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and that like button. Keep on wrenching, and peace.